Hi, everyone. Welcome to Training Camp 2023 Miami Dolphins Day 1 recap.
Day one.
Day 1, practice 1. Well, are we counting
Day
veteran?
two. It's actually day two. It's actually day two.
You're going to
Practice
do
one.
that? We're going to, okay.
No.
Now we have to start over again. Take 2. Welcome to the Wednesday, July 26th Training Camp recap episode on YouTube, All Dolphins podcast. Wherever you get your podcast on the Miami Dolphins Insider. Is that better, Omar?
It's about all Dolphins.
There you go.
Me and Poupart watching practice, diagnosing what we see. What? Give me a grade you would give of today's practice. First day.
First practice of training camp. There wasn't anything outrageously sloppy. I didn't see false starts all over the place. Couple of drop passes, probably too many for my taste. B minus, C plus maybe.
That's a fair grade. No turnovers, which is always when you have no turnovers for me.
There was a fumble on the last play of practice.
Oh, there was a fumble. River Craycraft, I believe.
Yep, and Aubrey Miller Jr., the rookie linebacker from Jackson State, the one who picked it up.
Yeah, all those Dolphin fans who are out there excited about the undrafted players. Woo, Aubrey Miller made a play.
There you go. You know who didn't make a play? Actually, before I continue, very, very important note to our listeners and all that, and the readers on alldolphins.com, that they need to understand. Miami Dolphin rules dictate that there are certain things we are not allowed to divulge. For example, players at specific positions, who plays on the first team, who plays on the second team. So we try to tap dance around it as much as we can to try to be as informative as we can, but understand that there are some rules. You know, one rookie free agent that we didn't know.
And I follow rules so well.
That's funny. That is funny. Yeah, the one rookie free agent that we didn't feel a whole lot today, although you said you saw him in the backfield once. I didn't. The one play I noticed from him, I'm talking about Mitchell Lagude. The one play I noticed from him was he badly bit on a naked bootleg fake. And I mean, badly bit. I mean, he was going straight down the line to the left, and the quarterback was 10 yards in the other direction.
Hey, he's a rookie. He's going to make those mistakes.
That is true.
I did see him. It was another impressive block by, I think it was a Jerron Christensen. That's where I noticed.
Christian, you'll keep
Christian.
You keep messing the guy's name.
Give me some time. Give me some time.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm not looking for him until pads come on. And you know why I'm not looking for him until pads come on? Because he seems to be one of those guys like Salvon Ahmed, and that flash when there are not pads. And my hope is that he doesn't disappear when they're not pads. Salvon Ahmed, and I hate to say this, he was one of my top performers from day one. If we had told Dolphin fans that Devon Achane was making the play Salvon Ahmed was making, he'd be named a starter by tomorrow.
And here's the all-important question. Every time he carried the ball, did you think it was Salvon Ahmed, or did you think
I absolutely, without a doubt, unequivocally thought it was Salvon Ahmed. I mean, it thought it was Devon Achane.
See, there you go. And for me, I have the binoculars onto the field to look, and then I see the 6. Okay, it's Salvon Ahmed and not Achane. They look. I'm going to repeat it. I repeat it. They look the same. They have the same body type. They
same
run
style.
The same way.
Yep. I absolutely, every single time I'm struggling to figure out which one was it. They move the same. They move very similar.
They do.
Quick
point about Agude. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. A quick point about Agude. And I understand, no, he's not going to flash every practice, but he's a rookie free agent at a position where the Dolphins have depth. So he cannot afford to have a lot of those days where it's building up. He needs to get noticed on a regular basis.
I mean, right now, tentatively, he's on my practice squad. He's got to dominate in the exhibition season to actually intrigue the Dolphins to say we got to keep him. So
agreed.
I'm not worried about it right now. I mean, it would be great for him to continue to fly. I already learned his name. Tell me the last time I learned an undrafted player's name and number before we even began training camp. I don't even pay attention to him. So props to him. But as I said, he's got that Salvon Ahmed disease where I hope he doesn't, where he disappears when pad comes on. I want to see when pads come on, is this guy still going to flash?
Okay. Can I give you another rookie? Like
Go
the
ahead.
couple of guys who stood out to me. One of them is a rookie, Cam Smith, and I liked him in the offseason. I liked him again today. He had a play where he had really good coverage on Jalen Waddle. I don't remember who threw the pass. It wasn't Tua. It was either Mike White or Skylar Thompson. And it was Mike White. It was overthrown over the middle, but the coverage was good. And he had another play on the outside when he was covering Braylon Sanders, where he broke on the ball first. Might have had a pick if not for Braylon Sanders turning DB and breaking it up. And that guy, like I said, he caught my eye throughout the offseason. That kid can cover.
He gets a deflection. He gets deflections.
Yeah.
I don't think we've seen him pull down an interception, but I don't need them. I do need, if you get me 2 pass deflections a game, that's 2 incompletions. I love it. He was definitely one of the top performers. Probably did not make my top performer list, but you know who did make my top performer list?
Alec Ingold.
Yes, he did, but that's not who I'm talking about.
Say,
you know, we both watch practice differently. And the reason why I think we work well together and have for years is because plays for me start at the line of scrimmage. I don't pay attention to the ball. I can't even tell you who's at quarterback because I'm watching the line of scrimmage. That's always been my focus. I take my eyes off the ball. So when you sit there and you say, that's a great completion, I'll tell you, no, that would have been a sack by Jalen Phillips because this guy just absolutely dominated him. And today, I was thoroughly impressed by what I saw from
Kendall Lamb. Kendall
Lamb. I know he finished the season as a starter out of emergency situations. And I believe he started
hurt. He got hurt. He started a game and he wound up on IR. He hurt his ankle.
I didn't see him or notice him once during training camp, during mini camp. Not once. Today, can't tell you where he lined up. I mean,
we can't say it.
But
he lined up on the offensive line.
Yes, he lined up on the offensive line at one of the positions of need. And he's a tackle, so obviously he lined up as a tackle. He's listed as a tackle. I don't think I'm telling you any state secrets to tell you he played tackle. But if you would have told me that he was a starter for the Miami Dolphins, I would have said, okay, big guy, about 340. I don't know what he's listed at, but he's listed at 310. He ain't 310. I can tell you that right now. Big guy, very hard to get around. They aren't in pads, but Jalen Fields couldn't power him, and neither could Bradley Chubb. And I was like, there's something here. Footwork was very decent, solid, and I get it. He hasn't probably played football in 5 weeks. Very fresh. Let's check back in 2 weeks from now. But I was like, I've said from the very beginning, I need somebody to raise their hand and say, I want this backup tackle job. I want to be the guy who holds it down till Teron Armstead is cleared to play. This is my job. And even Mike McDaniel said, Isaiah Wynn and Teron Armstead being on PUP and being sidelined is going to create some clarity for him about what we have here. And if you look at the Dolphins situation last year, they went into the year with crap at backup and had to just add a whole bunch of guys because they had crap at backup. And they knew they had crap at backup.
And they also had a lot of injuries, if we're going to be fair. But yeah, their backup situation wasn't ideal. No, I agree. That's a fair point.
And so now we have some ability to clarify what the backup situation looks like. I've already said from the jump that they added, I believe it was 158 starts to the team in backup players from Feeney, Wynn, Cedric O, Lamb, 28 games, I believe he started in the NFL. Yeah. He's an 8-year veteran, so he's not young.
Yep.
But I love what I'm seeing so far. You see a whole bunch of young guys who are not young, a whole bunch of young backups who are at the desperate level where they're like, hey, if I don't get this done here, my career is over. I might as well start selling real estate. And from day one, I kind of said to myself, Kendall Lamb knows what this opportunity is, and it might be his last.
And he's a guy who's got enough experience to where I think both you and I maybe have been guilty of like assuming Isaiah Wynn's going to be the swing backup tackle no matter what. He's got to beat out Kendall Lamb. Again, Kendall Lamb, like you said, has been around a bit. He's got some starting experience. So, I mean, he's a capable backup NFL offensive lineman. And if he outplays Isaiah Wynn, it's not just because Isaiah Wynn's a former first-round pick that the Dolphins are going to keep him. Let's move on just to make sure that we don't wind up like killing all the time and wind up having to either rush it at the end or even, God forbid, not include it. We have to talk about the quarterbacks because that's what everybody wants to know about. As you roll your eyes a little bit. So your thoughts on what you saw from Tua today?
Solid day.
Other than the tattoo on his right arm.
Impressive tattoo.
Okay.
2.5 days worth of work. I've done my share of tattoos, and that's a lot of tattoo. That's a lot of ink. That's a lot of poison you're putting into your body. It has a tribal benefit. It has a Polynesian origin to it, which means a lot to him. You know, he represents his Polynesian community and Samoan community to the utmost. Yep. So I'm glad that we finally got the reveal, and he was very proud of it. I evaluate quarterbacks, and let's put this right on the front street.
Go ahead.
One, just so for those who are new to me or don't know how I do things. One, I'm harsher on quarterbacks than I am on any other position. If you have a turnover as a quarterback, you are absolutely disqualified from being top performer of the day. I don't care if you throw 7 touchdowns. If you have 1 interception, because interceptions are the #1 determining factor about who wins and loses games. Am I incorrect there, Poop?
Turnovers, usually
turnovers. Yes.
Usually, there you can win by while still losing the turnover battle, but yeah, it's usually a good determining factor. But so, hey, there are no interceptions today, so that doesn't apply.
No interceptions today. 1 pretty pass by Tua, and I'm laughing because the Dolphins video, and I'm just going to put this there because I'm transparent. While everybody who watched it in person will say that the ball was a wobbler, the Dolphins video, because it was sped up just at the right times, makes it look like it was an absolute dime. It was a dime.
So it's a pretty pass on social media, not in reality. Is that what
it was? An ugly pass in person, a beautiful pass on social media, which I gotta applaud the editing team of the Miami Dolphins organization, because they have certainly learned from last season, and their editing skills are phenomenal, because that pass to Jalen Waddle was a dime on social media.
On social media, yeah. But it was a great play by Jalen Waddle. If you recall the play, Javon Holland got his hand in there, the ball bounced up in the air, bobbled, and Waddle kept his concentration and came down with it for 40, 45 yards. For me, I thought he was fine, nothing spectacular. His best throw to me came on a 7-on-7, where he threw a pass down the seam at the numbers to Jalen Waddle, which is one of the throws that he throws very well. Outside of that, didn't stand out one way or the other. And the same goes for all 3 quarterbacks. I mean, Skyler was fine. Mike White was fine. Nothing really noteworthy.
He wasn't phenomenal. He wasn't on fire. He didn't commit any turnovers. Neither did any of the other guys. The one thing I will say is that will you say that this is a legit competition for number 2?
I still think they went out and signed Mike White to be the number 2 guy.
Yeah.
And again, as you mentioned, pointed out from our peers in Dallas and the Jets, Mike White is not an impressive practice player. And we saw that again today. There's not a whole lot of zip on the ball. We're going to be honest. He had 1 throw down the field, maybe 20 yards to Braxton Berrios, where Berrios was pretty open, and he forced Berrios to basically go down to the ground to scoop it up.
And sometimes I didn't say that it was a bad pass. Maybe he threw that there to protect his receiver.
I thought you said good throw. It wasn't a good throw. It
was a good throw.
Berrios had enough of an umbrella where he didn't have to go to the ground to make the catch.
I'm not throwing to my slot receiver inside the seams without that's a get down pass. I'm not saying he intentionally made it a get down pass, but come on. everybody's not Jarvis Landry. Braxton Berrios can be put out the game.
I
Catching the pass like
understand that. And then number one, it's practice. Number two, again, to me, there was enough cushion where, and I understand that there are times when you need to do that to protect your receiver. Absolutely. And to prevent the incompletion as well, the tip pass. That one wasn't one of those. I'm not going to give Mike White a pass on that one. But again, he wasn't terrible. He wasn't great. Same with Skylar Thompson, who still shows the best arm in camp, even though I don't think Skylar Thompson. Are we going to argue that Skylar Thompson has the best arm among the quarterbacks in camp? That's a point of debate.
It's yes. I'm not going to let
That's
you.
That's a point of debate. Who has the better arm?
They're not. They're both not good in terms of arm strength, caliber, quality. But there isn't a pass that Skylar can throw that Tua can't throw.
That's not the discussion we're having.
You're putting Skylar's arm ahead of Tua's arm?
Of course.
No.
I don't think there's a question Skylar Thompson's got a better arm than Tua.
Cannot allow it.
Okay.
Will not allow it.
Tua, number 82 player on the NFL's top 100 list. I would like to point out because I love Tua and I certainly don't want to have any suggestion that that's not the case. I just happen to think, my opinion, I happen to think Skylar Thompson has a better arm.
It can be debated. It's a two-man competition, but I'm not going to listen.
Okay.
I can't do it. Okay. Skylar's going to have to deliver more deep plays than what we've seen so far in his career for me to even enter the conversation. But
arm strength has nothing to do with delivering big plays. As you watch what are your eyeballs telling you?
Does he throw a receipt? Can he throw to Tyreek and because everybody's all upset that Tua won't throw to Tyreek and put all this air under the ball, lead Tyreek. Like Tyreek, I don't know if Skylar can do that either.
That's not, but again, to me, that's not the gauge. To me, my eyeballs tell me it's not even close the way the ball comes out. It's got more zip. Let's move on. You talk about Tyreek. I will tell you one thing.
He didn't have a good practice.
Neither did Waddle, other than the one catch that he made. Waddle also had a drop. Tyreek had a drop. He also had
Did Waddle have a breakup or a drop?
No, he had a clear drop.
Okay.
And he had a play where X was covering him. We wanted to see X versus Tyreek or Waddle and Jalen Ramsey, vice versa. We saw one play where X was on Hill, and this was a throw where it took a while for the ball to get there, if you recall. Again, I love it that when we were actually watching practice, you're looking at me like, yeah, that took a while to get there. And now I pointed out, and you're like, what? I don't know. What's he talking about?
Why you got to bring it up like that, though?
Because it's a fact.
Right.
But it was a good play. It was a good play by X to break up the pass.
It was a great play by X. I mean, defenders get paid to break up balls too.
But had the ball gotten there earlier,
was that the one that Tyreek punted?
I know I didn't pick up on him punting. I missed that.
No,
one.
Okay. Then there was another one. He had an actual drop that he punted.
Yes, he had an actual drop. It was maybe a little bit low. I can't remember who threw the ball. It wasn't Tua. So it was obviously Tommy. It wasn't James Blackman.
When it's not Tua, you certainly remember who you don't remember who it was.
Well, because Tua's QB1, obviously it's more significant.
Yes.
Practice is more significant than QB2 or
half the time I don't know who's even back there at quarterback. So don't
even. See, I'm not going to say I'm a ball watcher, but to make your point, since you brought up what you watch, what I watch is I stick with the offensive line or the trenches as long as I can on pass plays. And then when I see the ball go out, then I move away from the trenches and then see, how the play happens and it's the end result, the interaction between the DB and the receiver. But I don't fixate on the offensive line the way you do. You're a trench guy. I'm more of a ball watcher.
So trenches allows me to see the defense, allows me to see who's collapsing the pocket, allows me to see the activity, allows me to see who can handle single blocks, who's collapsing the pocket. I love it. Anyway, that's
no, correct. And like I said, I try to do it, and generally speaking, if somebody gets beat quickly off the snap, I'll pick it up. But we digress. I know your friend Robbie Chosen didn't do a whole lot today. Very, very quiet.
Did he really practice? I saw him in there a couple of times.
I don't recall even noticing him on the field during.
I saw him one time, and I mean it's early. I don't. Cedric Wilson caught passes. Caught a pass or maybe two.
So did Eric Ezukama.
Eric Ezukama. We had Braxton Berrios, who I think Mike White's going to need Braxton Berrios. I just think you're doing him a disservice if you don't give him his receiver. And I know what I found very interesting about the offense is everybody is rotating with everybody.
Right.
And that was a little bit weird to see on day one. And I get it. You're probably just trying to help everybody get their legs under them. But, Tua's working with everybody. Mike White's working with everybody. So is Skylar Thompson. Now, and the same thing with defense. You saw guys mixing in and matching in, and you're like, okay, what unit is this? It's kind of very difficult to tell and determine what units you were watching.
Yep. Since we're jumping,
they're trying to confuse us.
Correct. Jumping from position to position, not a whole lot of action from the tight ends. Not exactly shocking.
No, I did see Scott. I did see Tyler Kroft. Tyler Kroft.
You saw him on a good block. We also saw Julian Hill drop a pass, the rookie free agent.
I don't even know his name.
Wow, man.
Yeah, I'm not gonna learn your name until you start making plays.
No respect for the UDFAs.
No, none.
No, that's fair.
When you make plays, I'll learn your number, and then after I learn your number, I'll learn your name. Like,
that's fair.
That's just how it's generally worked. And there's no need for me to learn your number if you don't make plays. Like, I couldn't tell you right now what Channing Tindall's number is. I have absolutely no idea.
Wow, yeah, wow, you had to bring him into it. I was going to jump to Channing Tindall.
I couldn't tell you what his number is. He's 41.
He's 41.
Could not tell. He's been here 2 years. Could not tell you what his number is. I saw, and I watch because I'm very bothered at the fact that they are one linebacker short. They're very limited, and they're begging for trouble if they don't add a linebacker. You're going to overexert what you have. You already have an injury-prone unit. You have a small injury-prone unit. One guy's got soft tissue injuries out the wahoo. How does soft tissue injuries flare up? Excessive work.
Correct. But he was out there today after when
he was out there today.
We're talking about David Long Jr., by the way, in case anybody's wondering.
Did he make a play?
Did any linebackers make a play? I mean,
no, and I think they really got dominated in the run game. That first 11-on-11 period, which looked more like an inside run specific kind of work, they just got mowed over. And I know there were good plays where Raekwon Davis and Christian Wilkins were really clogged up the line of scrimmage. And it's hard to tell without pads, but I'm seeing a lot of movement from this offensive line. And it's been years. I'm talking unicorn years since I've seen this level of movement from the offensive line.
2016.
And they don't have all their pieces. And I saw this back when we had mini camp. I was like, wait a minute. This is like forward progress, running lanes. I didn't think Mostert had a good day, but
you did or did not? You did or did not?
Huh?
You did or did not?
Did not.
I thought he was fine. I mean, he carried the ball a couple of times. I don't think he had like a whole lot of holes to run through. Jeff Wilson Jr. was the same way. It seemed every time he got the ball on a running play, he had somebody in his face immediately. They opened things up for Ahmed and once or twice for A-Chain, who cuts very well, by the way. I will say that. But they're the same guy again. There's no ways around it. There's the same guy. I mean, and it's like, I get it. I know A-Chain's
breaking the heart of Dolphin fans who have him on their fantasy draft and have him as the team starter a month into the season and think he's going to do what the Kansas City back did this year, where he just he could very well do all of those things. We shall see. I think but that's what fans do. They overhype things. So.
Well, yeah, because again, you have the unknown. You know what you have in Savon Ahmed, who's a nice player who can sporadically give you some big plays. And you look at A-Chain, maybe it's a guy who's going to give you big plays all the time because you don't know. And that's the appeal of rookies, especially if right now, I'll be honest, and like I've said, I'm going to repeat myself. Cam Smith's the one who has impressed the hell out of me from the time of the offseason. Again, that whole I look at him as a cornerback. He's got it as that feel. Remember, no, we talked about this last night. Noah Benogany doesn't have the feel for playing cornerback. I look at Cam Smith, and that dude looks like he's got the feel for playing cornerback.
He gets a lot of deflections, and I like that. I don't have a single. You're rarely ever seeing him. I don't recall one time I've seen him get beat. And going back to OTAs and training camp, hey, props to him. But then, how much is he lined up against Tyreek and Waddle? Like, I want to see a day where X and Jalen sit it down and he gets the call up.
Agree, but if you remember the one play I mentioned today that he made, the first play was against Waddle, and he had good coverage on him. He wasn't like wide open as a route over the middle, and the coverage was good. It was an errant throw, like I'm pretty sure it was Mike White, where the ball was thrown too far ahead of Waddle, but it required a very on-target pass because the coverage was pretty good. So props there. Anything else stood out? Tyreek spoke to the media after practice.
His legal matter is resolved. The
I
case
guess,
got settled
yeah,
on Monday.
I guess he did kind of a mea culpa. Well, as you wrote for alldolphins.com, the criminal investigation is now closed, so no issues there. There's been a settlement as far as any sort of civil proceeding. That's closed there. The only issue that's left is what's the NFL going to do? And as you mentioned in the story, the burden of proof isn't the same when it comes to the NFL.
He's going to get slapped on the wrist. He's too big of a star not to get a slap on the wrist.
Like what? A 1-game suspension? Is that what you're thinking? A fine?
Possible fine. Subject him to a hefty, nice charitable donation. And I think it would be, and here's the thing, even if they give him a 1-game suspension, I would just appeal it if I'm Tyreek, and then maybe wait until I need that 1 game from an injury standpoint to drop my appeal, take my 1 game. I don't think he's going to face more than 1 game, because the last incident that kind of compared to it is Adam Pac-Man Jones, who got a 1-game suspension for assaulting a man, being arrested for it. I would be shocked if you did something more for a guy who was not charged, was not convicted.
Yeah, so that makes sense. And I would suspect now that the criminal and civil aspects of the issue have been settled, that it might be sooner rather than later in the NFL. Because apparently the NFL, I think based on the earlier reporting, requested or may have seen the video that's involved in the situation. So I don't know what else is there for them to investigate. So.
And I'm pretty sure that the video doesn't have much, because if it did, he likely would have been charged.
That's a very good point.
So
one more Tyreek topic, and I'm only bringing this up because it created some hullabaloo on social media.
Hullabaloo, great word.
Thank you. This idea of Tyreek, are you going to go into the Hall of Fame as a member of as a Chief or as a Dolphin? Here's the thing, by the way, there is no such thing as going to the Hall of Fame as a Dolphin or as a Chief. You go into the Hall of Fame as an NFL player. There is no, it's not like baseball where you wear a cap and you choose what cap you're wearing. That's number one. Number two, even if Tyreek wasn't aware of this at the time, he is standing in front of the backdrop with the Miami Dolphins logo all over the place, the team for which he currently plays. What's he going to say?
Yeah, that makes $30 million a year.
Yeah. What's he going to say? No, I like the Dolphins, but the Chiefs are where my heart is. Come on. And then you have people like, I saw one headline off a social media post that's like, whoa. What? Whoa. It's one of those like, duh.
I did find it interesting, and I take responsibility for it becoming viral because I tweeted out and everybody's regurgitating it based off my tweet. He did give like a 2-minute speech about why he's thankful to the Chiefs and why he appreciates them for giving him a star. I didn't get all of that. I didn't get all of that, so I didn't share all of that. But, Tyreek is very confident that he's going to bring the Miami Dolphins to Super Bowl. First time he said it today, he's like, I'm going to bring the Miami Dolphins to Super Bowl. And I was like, Okay. He said it on his podcast. He said it repeatedly.
All right.
He's going for 2,000 yards.
He's not afraid of hyperbole. I think we know that by now.
He's going for 2,000 yards. He's going to get the Miami Dolphins a Super Bowl win. And he wants to take 3 trips a year out of this country if he wants to, so he can continue his career. If he can do that and enjoy his life while he makes $30 million, he might consider playing after his contract's over or extending his contract. But other than that, his dad told him, if you're going to make all this money, you better enjoy it. And I don't disagree with him. When you've made $150 million, how much more do you really have to make? Do you really need to make?
No, the dude's made the Pro Bowl every year he's been in the league. He's been an All-Pro like 3 or 4 times. Yeah, he's on the collision course with the Hall of Fame. There's nobody could argue that. That's not even debatable.
He is on a pace that no receiver, and I did this before he joined the Dolphins, before he had a dynamic 1,700-yard season. He has outpaced everybody, including Jerry Rice, in terms of production and scoring in his early career. Like, all he's got to do is probably get to 10 years, and he's probably in the Hall of Fame. Like, so, and no, notice there was nobody discussing whether or not he's going to get in or not.
No, correct. No, like I said, that's not even a debate. I mean, unless his career crashes, no, it's not a debate. And again, he will go in. Tyreek Hill, wide receiver, return specialist, played for the Kansas City Chiefs, plays for the Miami Dolphins. He's not going in as a Miami Dolphin. He's not going in as a Kansas City Chief. That was like a non-story. But social media being what it is.
I think Chief fans got all in their feelings because they feel disrespected.
Yeah.
When, truthfully speaking, you just won a championship without the best weapon in the NFL. I think you'll be all right.
Yeah, I think they should be fine. And again, he's playing for the Dolphins right now. Not like he was going to say anything. Come on. He wasn't going to say anything else.
All right. We also need to address Connor Williams. Showed up for work. Said,
one would suspect, yes.
I am a top 10 center in this NFL. I'm surprised that he said top 10 because I've heard that he's going for top 5 money. If you're asking for top 5 money, you'll settle for top 10 money. As I wrote in my alldolphins.com breakdown, I think Connor Williams is the foundational piece of this offensive line. He's, I believe, 26 now. I would absolutely extend him. I'd extend him at $9 million a year. He'd be at the very top of my list of guys that I'm trying to extend. No, I'm not trying to extend.
Not Christian Wilkins?
No, Christian Wilkins is going to make a very handsome check this year. He can sit and get that franchise tag next year, and then he's going to average out $16 million a year. I'd rather pay him that than pay him $18.5 million a year. Why am I throwing away extra $5 million a year for the next 2 years for no reason? So
to please your defensive line leader. That's why you do that.
And piss off Zach Sealer, Raekwon Davis, and
Connor Williams.
Yeah, Connor Williams, Robert Hunt. Like, and I've said this before and I've written this before. Right now, there's $13.5 million in cap space. It is a race for these players. Who's going to get the money? Because there might be 2 get the money, and everybody else is just going to be holding a bag and wait until free agency and have to play an entire season out.
And they can't spend all of it either because they have to give themselves some loose in case of emergencies.
Exactly. So this is going to be a very tricky situation for the Dolphins. I hope that they use some of that money to sign Dalvin Cook, which I do believe will make them a real legitimate Super Bowl contender. Do I believe that they're a legitimate Super Bowl contender right now? I do not. I'm sorry.
Okay. Let's not dive into the Dalvin Cook weeds again. We've beaten that subject to death already. There's nothing new to say about this. But let me go back to Connor Williams for a second. Did either of us really expect him not to show up when he's going to get stopped with a $50,000 fine daily that cannot be rescinded? Unlike now, what I'm curious about is what's going to happen to the fines that he accumulated when he didn't show up for mandatory minicamp.
$93,000.
Those can be waived or rescinded. And when Williams does get a new contract, if he does get a new contract, chances are that's going to be part of the deal. One would think.
Yeah, I need the Dolphins to get back to the point where they started giving globs of money for workout bonuses, because That used to be a staple under the Bill Parcells and Jeff Ireland regime, where they just got a ridiculous amount of money for showing up for their workouts. And then we won't even have this problem. But Connor's here. He looked great first day.
Mhm.
But I think that he needs to. Nobody on your offensive line is a foundational piece. Tell me who it is. Tell me who you're building.
You know who I'm going to say. You know who I'm going to say.
He's not under contract.
For you mean beyond
You're
next?
talking about Robert Hunt.
Robert Hunt. I'm talking about Robert Hunt. Yes. But no,
So you would sign Robert Hunt over Connor Williams.
Yes, I've said that many times. I'm going to repeat it. I think he's a better player. But
You're signing a right guard over a starting center. A top.
Well, one could make the argument that Robert Hunt could play right tackle also. And one could make the argument, why isn't he playing right tackle? Would the Dolphins be better if they had somebody else at right guard and Robert Hunt at right tackle than Hunt and Austin Jackson at right tackle?
Hey man, Austin Jackson ain't do nothing to you. Austin Jackson didn't have a bad
and
day.
I like Austin Jackson, and I want, and maybe this is what the Dolphins are thinking. They're going to look at him throughout training camp, see if their conviction in him is justified, and then give him the job. If he does that, if he doesn't, then maybe they revisit the idea of Robert.
Talking about
what am I talking about?
Austin Jackson's got to play like a bum to lose that job, and he's got to bum it up for the first month of the season to lose that job. You don't agree?
Here's what I would tell you: to be replaced by. I agree with you to a certain degree, but the Dolphins also always have that option of moving Robert Hunt to right tackle and
which they refuse to do.
Well, but do you actually think they're going to take the chance of sinking the season if they're not they don't have a conviction that Austin Jackson is going to get the job done at right tackle? We're running out of time here. For record-keeping purposes, everybody was at practice today except for the 4 guys who are on PUP: Teron Armstead, Nick Needham, Isaiah.
You guys found Daywood?
Yes, we found David Davis and Tanner Connor. The only one we didn't see at all because we saw Armstead win and Needham on the field doing like some minor work.
Minor work. Armstead was out there. Armstead was out there killing it. Him and Wynn, they probably wish they were practicing. That was some extensive rehab. I'm like, man, I want to practice.
Okay. Well, anyway, so the only guy we didn't see at all was Tanner Connor. The other guys were there, which obviously is good. The first day of training camp. We'll see what day 2 brings. Any final thoughts here before we wrap this up?
Props to the offense actually, you brought up the fact that there was a turnover. Damn you, River Craycraft. That's my goal every single day. No turnovers, but then the defense, they don't get their praise for creating turnovers. So, and Justin Bethel was the guy who created that turnover.
Yes, he's the one who forced it.
Yes. So Justin Bethel with the first turnover of training camp.
There you go. And Aubrey Miller Jr. had the fumble recovery. So again, it was the first day of training camp, the first practice. It was fine. Nothing spectacular, nothing overly dramatic one way or the other. Didn't look like anybody suffered any kind of significant injury.
Oh, Jalen Phillips and that sprained ankle.
We don't know. No, we don't speculate on injury. What we can report is he had his lower left leg retake. That we can report because that's visually we are not to speculate on what's going on. And he was walking with a little bit of limp, which is something we also can observe.